Hello, everybody. We have Jordan Mixson from the Sockateur on Instagram today, joining us from Jacksonville. Jordan, how are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, I came across your page, and as a fellow fan of exciting socks, I don't know that my collection is quite the size of yours. I saw some articles that referenced size a couple of years ago, but I'm excited to learn a little bit more about your page and your story.
Oh wow, thank you. Um, I'm born and raised here in Jacksonville, Florida. I've been doing the soccer tour page for about 5 years now. And how that all got started was I'm trying to tell the Cliff Note version of it in a way. Um, about 5 years ago, my sister was getting married, and I was a groomsman. And when I got my tuxedo rental, I noticed that it came with these really striking pair of horizontal socks. And I thought that was pretty different, and they matched with the pocket square. So after the wedding, when I returned the tuxedo rental, I didn't know any better. I washed the socks thinking, oh, well, I'm sure they want these back too. And then, the rental store was said, no, you keep them. So that sparked my interest where I started trying to incorporate them into my own sense of style. And then until one day I stepped foot in a Nordstrom rack and just noticed this whole section of really unique designs and all these geometric prints and these novelty designs. And well, I started collecting um, just different designs that just was really cool to me. And um, it's also during that time that Jacksonville, and still is going through a bit of a cultural renaissance where I am into like lifestyle in terms of the local scene and the food scene and different and new community events that were popping up. So the Sockateur page is a culmination of sort of it's a niche on mentor blogging where I identify myself more as like a sock blogger, but I also like to highlight the colorful aspects of my hometown and wherever I am at the time. So, yeah, and I called myself the Sockateur as a play on being a connoisseur of getting to know the various different types of sock styles there are out there. Then it just grew into learning about the quality and mainly about the quality as well as the designs of different brands that exist out there that I felt like wasn't really being discussed. So when I was checking out on Instagram, that's um, that's what motivated me because I just felt like that's a conversation that I don't think was really being discussed. So I really wanted to dive in and try to teach my audience about these cool brands that are out there, as well as how to style them for various types of situations and various tastes. So that's um, that's where the Sockateur comes from.
So, before the tuxedo rental, you were wearing like your Hanes 10 pack of tube socks. What was your life before that?
It was pretty. Uh, it was dull. I didn't even really think about it. I had grays, blacks, a lot of white socks.
It was like
Just
the Wizard of Oz before the tornado.
exactly. So I wasn't really thinking anything of it. I mean, I did have some dots here and there, but it just didn't really cross my mind, which was all the more reason why when my first pair of really colorful, memorable socks, and I still have those pairs, it just kind of opened my eyes to like, oh my God, this the versatility um, of just one pair of socks can really, to me, change the overall outlook of your entire outfit. Or it can just be something subtle, or just it can just be the literal statement of the entire outfit. So I thought that was really cool, and yeah, I just started to pay more attention to other gentlemen out there that were really into the sock game, and I just felt like, you know what, let's dive into this. It's gonna be a little weird. It's gonna take a little bit of convincing, but I feel like it's a fun topic to explore.
Yeah. So, what are the first couple of things that you think you're going to post on Instagram? Like, what's the process of starting the page?
Um, well, initially when I was starting, I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea. Instagram was still very new to what I was used to do. And I still do it to a degree where when I'm focusing on a sock pick, um, I would generally pay a lot of attention to the ground. I'm also thinking about how I'm styling my socks with my shoes. Am I styling with tennis shoes, dress shoes, um, chino pants, or jeans, things of that nature? And I would just take a picture of my legs crossed, and it's more like an overhead shot. And I will still do those pics from time to time, but then it just gravitated towards where, as it started to grow, um, more people became curious about how am I styling my socks with the entire outfit. So it just graduated into taking uh, traditional as well as abstract fashion pics.
Yeah, because I
I
love
would
that you
kind
can
of,
see the progression of when you started out to your current iteration. Was there any significance to the Mona Lisa as your first sock pick?
oh man, you did your, you went that
I
far.
try my best.
That's impressive. Um, that was, hmm, I believe that was where it started. Yeah, um, I was at a coffee shop, and I really, really, I'm a big fan of the liberal arts. And when I was doing some shopping, and I came across a pair of Mona Lisa socks, I think they're by Hot Socks. Yeah, they're by Hot Socks, and I just thought that was really cool. Just I wanted to wear something that was representative of my appreciation for the liberal arts, and yeah, so I that's how it started at a coffee shop here in Jacksonville. Brew, Brew 5 Points, and I mustered up the nerve because I was not quite sure how to really go about this, and I had talked to the manager because I and asked, "Hey, are you okay with me taking this awkward photo?" And he was pretty cool about it. So that's really where it started, and it became a trend until it just graduated and into. I guess to really simplify it, I get inspired by the design itself. That kind of motivates me to figure out the location of where I want to shoot, and the the outfit that I want to wear, whether I'm thinking something more casual, something more dressy, or a lot of times with me, I like to be somewhere in between.
Yeah, I've noticed that. Now, the other thread that goes through a lot of your photos is uh, your musical instruments. What's some of the backstory with that?
The musical instrument socks,
No,
or
your
just,
your physical instruments, and I
oh,
saw you also shared a Jacksonville Symphony video the other day too.
oh yeah, yeah. So that ties into my background as a professional violinist. That's where my actual degree is in. I went to, well, I've been playing for 19 years, and I got my bachelor's in music performance at the University of North Florida. And so before that, I was playing in an arts high school where that was my first exposure into playing orchestral literature. And so the local symphony here, the Jacksonville Symphony Orchestra, is such an institution to the art scene. And on my page, I've always wanted to highlight the music scene, particularly in the classical music scene, that it does get attention. But I always felt like there's so much that's going on right now in town. I wanted to really focus on an aspect of music that's near and dear to me. And so it fits into some of the lifestyle content that I post, and so I try to advocate and um, promote the orchestra to my audience. And there's a bit of a fashion element that gets tied into it too. When our orchestra started doing red carpet events for the opening their opening seasons, and yeah, that was a really cool opportunity to recently they invited me to help them out with a promotional video for called "Where Does the Music Take You," where they ask certain members of the community to describe their experience when they're hearing a piece of music. So that was my latest project. It's not fully out yet, but you see, there was a little teaser, but in due time, you're going to see the full extent. So I get to talk about um, part of my background as a violinist, professional violinist, and my experience with a particular piece of music that's near and dear to me, and something for the audience to listen to when the orchestra performs this particular composition really soon.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the one place that I still go with my wife, and now I take my son to. They have a children's series at the Pittsburgh Symphony, and I make sure that we're properly dressed for that. It feels like one of the occasions you should put on at least a shirt and jacket, if not a tie.
Absolutely. And see, that is something that to me, it's one of the, back in the day, I mean, going to the orchestra was the Oscars. It was everything. It was so much about, certain composers at the time, the excitement of the debut of a new symphony, but it was also too, on the side note, about wondering who was wearing what and where was someone sitting in the audience and the patrons, the government officials, and all of that to me it still exists. Um, Recently, our orchestra has gotten a new conductor, director. That's really tried to embrace that aspect of there's a fashion component to it, and like I mentioned before, the red carpet event. So I've tried to um, do some collaborations with the orchestra to not only, you know, try to appeal to the younger demographic to come to these brand new types of um, concerts that are just an hour long, but it's also an opportunity for people to dress up. And um, so I wore some music socks with um, for that occasion where you see me. I was wearing a Perry Ellis suit and wanted to kind of appeal to that crowd that hey, this music is important. It's important. It's timeless. It's fun. And it's also it's still a tried and true way to have an excuse to get dressed and enjoy just a nice evening.
Yeah, I like making it kind of an event. So,
Hmm.
what are some of the ways that your life has changed around the Sockateur if you hadn't started posting, 4 years ago?
Wow. Um, well, a lot of things changed when I got honestly about a couple of years ago when I was trying to improve on my photography. I follow the Instagram homepage, and they have these weekend hashtag projects, these photo projects, and I would try to participate in some that I felt like could fit with my themes. And excuse me. So what happened? There was a fashion inspired challenge that was themed around getting close, and fashion photographer Landon Nordeman, um, recognized by the New York Times, was the guest curator. And I took actually, it wasn't a sock pic, it was really more of a um, upper torso shot of my shirt using natural lighting. And he picked me, and I got featured, and that changed everything. My following grew. There was a lot more attention locally, and it also brought the attention of different brands, a few mainstream brands that wanted to work with me and really create a conversation about styling your statement socks as the main focal point of your outfit. So had it not been for that, I don't know. I don't know what would have happened. I think I just would have been happy either way. But I'm definitely um, very thankful for the Instagram community for embracing just a different point of view, and also from my friends and family, and definitely those in the Jacksonville community that have been such a rock. And it's just been a great opportunity to work with more independent brands and a few mainstream brands, and um, in terms of the sock industry, but also in the overall menswear apparel. Having the chance to work with Johnston and Murphy and Perry Ellis, it's Bugatti, if familiar with that brand. Um, it's just been, I couldn't be ever more thankful. Yeah, that's where it changed. It definitely changed when I got featured on Instagram, and things just, it's just been a fun, interesting journey.
Wow, it's been a while since I thought about those weekend hashtag projects. I remember when those were like, that was the way you used Instagram for a while.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And see, so now what's happened? I've gotten way more curious about the industry, where I'm starting wanting to learn more about cotton blends and the quality of cottons: Egyptian cotton, mercerized cotton, Italian, Pima cotton, and it really makes a difference in how now I'm way more selective in the socks that I choose to wear, because I'm thinking about the color retention, the strength, and the softness. Those are the three things that I care about the most. Because earlier, it used to be about, oh, well, these are just cool colors and I love them, and you know, and to a large degree, that still, motivates how I choose a pair to wear. But getting to know some of the sock makers, the designers, um, and being able to work, for example, I don't know if you're familiar with the brand Stance.
Oh,
Is
yes.
that name? Oh yeah, they're one of my biggest supporters, and I had an opportunity to go to HQ, their HQ in California. They invited me and got to know, uh, gosh, just the whole team, and seeing the sock mills, and just you develop this deeper appreciation for what seems like something simple. It's actually far more complex than people realize. So those type of experiences I love sharing, and so with all of those types of experiences now, I'm just really excited for being able to promote my own line of socks coming soon.
Well, you actually preempted one of my questions, which is what are some of the
Mhm,
things you now look for in a pair of socks? Like if you're looking
mhm.
for almost like a quality to value ratio, or, what are some of the features you're looking for?
Well, I like to tell folks that when I am looking at the sock tab, the hang tab, I'm always looking at the the percentage of cotton that's blended into the sock. I like a high count of somewhere between 70 to 80. It's great if it's 100% organic cotton, but you have to go a little bit deeper, because sometimes, when you just see 100% cotton, there's no elaboration behind it. So typically, what I've learned is it's probably an unnamed, probably not a high grade of cotton. Um, there's no description. It's probably from a sock mill. But um, I like to look for the specific type of cotton. Pima cotton, Egyptian cotton has more of a luxuriant feel. Um, and then I also take a look at the how much polyester is in the sock, and I tend to like shy away from blends that have somewhere between like 35. I know it's really technical, but it matters, because to me, um, when your feet start to sweat pretty much before the end of the day, it's not a pair that I would gravitate towards wearing. I mean, but the basics, if it really boils down to the basics, is color retention, softness, and the strength. And any pair of socks that you buy, I used to buy a pair that I won't say names or anything like that, but all I know is if you start to have holes, and you start to see the fabrics become undone, um, it's something that's called pilling. And if that happens within 4 weeks, it's not a good sock. A really, really good pair of socks. I mean, I have pairs that have lasted me for 3 years, and they still retain their color. They still retain the design, and they still feel great, just like when I first bought them. Those are the type of socks that I like advocating and wearing, because it's more of an investment.
Right,
Even
and
the
you.
little details.
Oh
Sorry.
yeah, and you get what you pay for. What is about the price of a pair of socks that you think is hits the all points of color retention, softness, and strength?
A price point?
Y-
Hmm. If I'm following you correctly. uh 15. I 12, somewhere between 12 and 15. I think it's worth the investment. But you have to pay attention to the cotton blend. Even comb cotton, which is pretty much kind of considered more athletic in nature, but also can be worn casually. There's some fun. There's quality to that. I always look for a high um, cotton count. That, along with the price point, I find that socks priced around there, as well as hey, if you can find something that's Egyptian cotton or really nice comb cotton, you want to feel the softness. Even before I buy it, I stretch. I just kind of stretch in the sock a little bit. And particularly when you have a design, um, there are some socks that when you stretch it out, it's going to give you a pretty good preview of what it's going to look like on your legs anyway. And if it's very faded and you can't really tell, um, not really the best sock, because you have, for example, a really great company, Bugatti. It's an Italian menswear line, but their socks in particular, they use Italian mercerized cotton. Their socks are priced around 15, actually a little bit higher, around 20. But the color is so sharp and the designs are so intricate or simple in some cases. Um, but when you feel when you wear that sock, it has such a smooth, um, buttery feel. Um, that's that's worth an investment. Where um, a sock around that price point, it's going to last you about good 2 to 3 years. And those are the types of things that I like to look for. So the three simple elements: softness, strength, and color retention.
I actually have a pair of Bugatti socks from 2012 that still look really good, and I still wear them every couple of weeks as they hit my rotation. So I agree on
Awesome.
Bugatti. All
Yeah.
right, so I got a couple of rapid fire questions if you are ready for that.
Okay.
Okay, Oxfords or Brogues?
Oxford's
Morning shower or evening shower?
evening.
Your favorite Bond actor?
Oh man. Um, I'm gonna have to say Sean Connery.
Good
Yeah.
choice.
Yeah.
Okay, cardio or lifting?
Oh man. uh, I'm actually enjoying cardio more. I'm doing more cardio right now, and I'm really starting to appreciate a lot more. So cardio.
Okay, chinos, jeans, or trousers?
Hmm. Chinos.
Loafers or sneakers?
Oh man, I'm in a sneaker vibe right now. I love them both. Okay. Sneakers.
Okay, and if you're getting in the shower for a big day and you want to pump yourself up, what song are you playing?
Mm. Right now, I'm very much into Georgia Smith. Um, she's this new um, indie R&B artist that I think she's making quite the splash lately. I'm very much into indie R&B music right now, and I'm obsessed with her. So, yep, Georgia Smith.
All right, I'm pulling that up on Spotify right now. Well, Jordan,
Hmm.
thank you for joining us on the Button Up Podcast. Everybody check out _Sockateur on Instagram. We'll link to him in the show notes as well. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you've got up your sleeve with this new sock line.
Oh, stay tuned. Coming out in October.
All right, thank you, Jordan.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Buttoned Up Podcast, a collaboration between John Shanahan of The Cavalier and Brock McGough of Modest Man, and we will see you next week.